Hey guys, today we're doing day 1 of our book, Little Red Riding Hood. Now our theme for this week is fairy tales, okay? And our 2 essential questions is we got 3 different versions of Little Red Riding Hood to read. So our essential questions this week are, how are all these versions the same, okay? And how are they different? All right, so we're going to be doing a lot of comparing and contrasting this week, for this book, okay? All right, so let's go over our vocabulary words for this book. Now, the first word is thoughtful. Thoughtful means to think about others, okay? All right, visit means to go and see and spend time with. We know what that means. We go and visit our grandparents and all that stuff. Winding means a twisting movement or path. All right. Oh, and we have sly, which means clever in a dishonest way. And then we have crept, which means move slowly and carefully. All right. My dog is on all of my attention today, so just bear with me on that. All right. So, ooh, I just ripped my dang earring out again. What in the world? It's always when I wear this shirt. Alright, so, okay, so let's read our book, Little Red Riding Hood. Okay. A long time ago, there lived a sweet little girl who was always thoughtful and kind and loved to visit her grandma. Her grandma enjoyed these visits so much that she gave the little girl a special present. She sewed the girl a wool cape with a hood. It was the girl's favorite color, a wonderful cherry red. The girl liked her cape so much that she wore it everywhere. First, she wore it to the village store. Then, she wore it to visit her cousins on the other side of the village. She even wore her cape to bed. Soon, everyone called her Little Red Riding Hood. One day, Little Red Riding Hood's mother said, "Your grandmother isn't feeling very well." "I'll go visit her," said Little Red Riding Hood, "and I'll take a picnic." "What a good idea," said Little Red Riding Hood's mother, "and be sure to stay on the path through the woods." Little Red Riding Hood promised that she would, and she packed a basket with her grandma's favorite foods and set off. Little Red Riding Hood skipped down the long, winding path as she always did on her visits, and she was very careful to always stay on the path. After a while, she met a wolf. That squirrel's like, "Buddy, you better run. That wolf means..." Boom, chill. "Hello," said the wolf. Little Red Riding Hood knew she shouldn't talk to the wolf, but he seemed friendly. "Hello," she said. "Where are you going this fine day, little girl?" asked the wolf. "I'm going to visit my grandmother," said Little Red Riding Hood. "She isn't feeling well, so I'm bringing her this picnic with her favorite food. First off, never tell a stranger where you are from, where you live, or where you are going, and what you're doing. Don't ever tell a stranger that. Don't do it." That was me. That was me. Boom. That was me, buddy. Calm down. Gosh. Boom. It was me. Quit. Come here. Boom. Quit. Alright. "And where does your grandmother live?" asked the wolf. "At the end of this path." A sly grin came across the wolf's face. He knew that if he ran up the hill, he'd get to the grandmother's house before Little Red Riding Hood. "I'll gobble up that old lady and I'll eat the little girl," he thought, smacking his lips. "And I'll gobble up that tasty picnic too." "Look at the flowers growing in the woods." "Oh no, look at the flowers growing in the woods," said the crafty wolf. "Why don't you pick some for your grandmother? Pretty flowers will always make her feel better." "Good idea," said Little Red Riding Hood. The prettiest flowers were far from the path, but Little Red Riding Hood thought that it would be all right to leave the path just this once. Remember, her mama told her, "Don't you leave that path, you stay on that path." And guess what she's doing? She's leaving the path. When she turned to pick some flowers, the wolf ran straight to the grandmother's house. The door was unlocked, so the wolf opened it quietly and crept inside. He tiptoed into grandmother's bedroom and found her asleep in bed. Suddenly, he woke her up. When she saw the wolf, she screamed, "Help! Help!" Little Red Riding Hood, cried Little Red Riding Hood's grandmother. The wolf grabbed her and pushed her into the closet and locked the door. "Be quiet," he said, "or I'll gobble you up now instead of later." The wolf quickly put on the nightgown and cap. He hopped into bed and pulled the covers over his hairy chin. At the moment, Little Red Riding Hood knocked on the front door. "Grandmother," she called. "Come in, my dear," said the wolf in a high voice. Little Red Riding Hood went into the bedroom. She stared at her grandmother lying in bed. Her grandmother looked very strange, and Little Red Riding Hood was afraid. "Grandmother, what big ears do you have?" said Little Red Riding Hood. "The better to hear with you, my dear," said the wolf. "Grandmother, what big eyes you have," said Little Red Riding Hood. "The better to see you with, my dear," said the wolf. "Grandmother, what big hands you have," said Little Red Riding Hood. "The better to hug you with, my dear." Boom. "Grandmother, what big teeth you have," said Little Red Riding Hood. "The better to eat you with," cried the wolf. Little Red Riding Hood screamed, "Ah!" This was not her grandmother, the wolf. Suddenly, the wolf sprang out of bed. He tried to grab Little Red Riding Hood, but she leaped away, light as a leaf, into the cherry red cake. The wolf grabbed the air instead. With a yelp, the wolf tumbled out the window, rolled down the hill. He was never seen again. Little Red Riding Hood's grandmother pounded on the closet door, and Little Red Riding Hood let her out, and they hugged so tightly as they could. "Thank goodness that's over with," said Grandmother. "What happened?" "Mother said you were sick," said Little Red Riding Hood, "so I brought you a picnic lunch. But I left the path to pick some flowers." "Well, I think you've learned your lesson," said her grandmother. "I'm glad we're both safe." Then Little Red Riding Hood and her grandmother sat down and enjoyed their visit together. It was the best one they'd ever had. All right, and that is our book, Little Red Riding Hood, okay? And I forget to tell you this every time. I want you guys to, before you read, even though we've already read, to complete your I Wonder page. All right, and then once you're done with that, you're going to write do the infer it page, okay? It says, how did Little Red Riding Hood infer that the wolf was Grandma? All right, well, one thing, she noticed certain personality traits in her, or character traits. Her nose was really big, her eyes were really big, her teeth were really big, and her hands were really big. And that's how she began to figure out that it was not her grandma. All right, so draw me a picture. I want some good pictures now. Something good. Show me them teeth, show me them hands, her nose, all that stuff. And then write me a sentence of the different ways that she noticed that it was not Grandma, okay? And that is it. I will see you guys later. Bye.